Hello everybody. In this video, what we're going to do is show you our new student screen. This would be a screen that you would use to create a brand new student on SRS. Um, the thing we're trying this year, that's just a little bit different than usual, is some of the new screens that we've added. We've added kind of as an addition to what we currently had before. So if you look on my screen right here, we still have the original new student option that you can click that and you can create students the old way, the way that you've always done it. But in this video, we wanted to show you the new version of the new student option, and you'll find those new options in green text along the Zen framework pages that we have built. One thing just real important to note, you need to have the new version of the student tab available to get this new option for the new student screen. So having said all that, let's open up the new student screen, and I'll show you some of the new things we built into it. So I'm going to click on this green link here that says new student, open that up. One thing you'll notice right away is that the format is just a little bit different. We're building the new student screen using different tabs. Starts with a little bit of student information, then we have the student details section. The same information is being recorded, but we use the tabs because it's going to make this more expandable as we move on in the coming years. If we come up with a new feature or something we want to add, we can just add it right into these sets of tabs, and it'll just make for a nicer workflow for us. So beyond that, when you come back down to the main parts of the form, you're going to see everything looks pretty similar to the way it did before. All the fields that were required with the little asterisks by them are still going to be there. Just a couple little differences though is that when we click on anything that's asking for a date, when you click on that, it's going to open up a calendar for you. You're not required to use it, so I can put in the date like so, or I could very easily just type in the dates directly into the system as well. So whatever works, whatever works for you is fine by us. But I just wanted to let you know there's two options there. Then it's just going to ask you to put in the names of the student. I'll just put in a fake name. We always use Zen because we're working on Zen framework. I'll call this Zen Test 2017. Now we have a section here for the ANIS ID number. This is not a required field, so you can skip it. However, if your district does plan to use the SRS system to record your ANIS data reporting for the state, you definitely want to have this number built in. One interesting little feature we built in this year is it'll automatically tell you if you've put in a duplicate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a 10-digit number that I already know is a duplicate on the system. So I've got that number in. As soon as I click on any other text box, let's just say I click up here, I'm just going to click into this box, it's going to analyze that ID number that it gave me, and then it's going to tell me, nope, that's a duplicate. I think this is going to be a nice feature for us because it'll prevent us from having duplicate records, and that ID number is very important when it comes to state reporting. So we want to make sure we have clean numbers in there, and one number per student. The rest of it is, we're creating a new student. I'm logged in as a district manager here, so it's going to ask me to choose the county of the school. In this particular student, I only have one option where my test count that I'm on only has access to one school district, so it's going to give me that one school district here. If you had access to multiple school districts, you would see all of them listed in this menu that I have up right now. But this guy only has access to one, so I'll select that. Then it's going to ask for the district. Again, this particular count I'm using only has access to one district, so I'll just select that district. There's only one school building in my little pretend district, so I'm going to put that in. And then it's going to ask you to choose the case manager, and you can select from whoever has a case manager level access in your particular school district. So I'll just pick one that I know is not a real person. So basically what I'm going to do is just fill in this first half of the form like so. Once I have all the information in, I'll hit next, and that'll take me to this next tab, the student details tab. And then for there, it gives me a couple more options. Another difference we had this year is that if you say the student is a public school student, um, that's fine. That's all you got to do. But if you do say that the student is not a public school student, if I click no here, then it's going to open up a couple additional options for me. It's going to ask me, is this a parental placement? And I'll choose that sort of the answer that applies there. I'll just put not applicable. And also, if the student's a non-public school, it's going to ask you to put in the non-public school that the student's attending. You have a couple options here. If your student is a homeschooled student, I can choose homeschool from the very top of this county menu, just because it's the first one that you would see. I select that, and then no more additional information is necessary because we're just saying this is a homeschool student in his resident district. However, if we just imagine that maybe our student is attending Lancaster Public Schools or Lancaster County non-public schools, as soon as I put that in, I'll get a listing of all the non-public schools that we have listed in Lancaster County. I'll just select one at random here, and I'm going to select the non-public district, and then the non-public school will be selected as well. So we do have a way to record the non-public status of the student or the public school status, whatever makes sense. Just for sake of simplicity, I'll go back and just make the student a public school student. Just makes it a little bit easier. Next thing is going to ask for date of birth. Again, we have the calendars built in. You can select the year like that, or again, you could just type the number in directly into the text box, whatever works. As far as grade, we have all the grades available. Just select whatever grade makes sense. Gender, pretty standard. Ethnic group, we haven't really changed any of these menus. The language really hasn't changed. Just for sake of convenience, we put English out of alphabetical order and put it at the top. We do have a whole bunch of languages that you can choose from. However, if you don't see the one you're looking for, we do have an other option at the very end of the menu. Just wanted to throw that out, but I'm just going to pick one at random here. Next section here is going to ask, is this an ELL student, English language learner? I'll just say no for this case. Ward of the state. If the student is a ward of the state, I'll put yes, and then when that scenario, if I click a scenario that has more follow-up questions, then you'll see that these additional questions just appeared on the screen. If I click no, those secondary options disappear. So we're only making you fill in the parts of the form that are absolutely required. I'll just leave it at no for now. And then it's just going to want the street address for the family here. I'll just put in a fake number. We'll call student a Lincoln student here. The state, put that in. I'll make up a zip code. And then the rest of the form here is a phone number and email address. You do not have, those are not required fields, but if you have the phone number and you have the parent's email address, please put that in. It's probably good for convenience sake. And then the last question it's going to ask you is the student receiving alternate assessments? But just to give you kind of a sense of what would happen if we didn't answer all the questions, so I'm going to purposely leave alternate assessments blank. Oh, actually, look at that. I can't even say unless all my boxes are filled, so that's something interesting. There we go. So I put in all the required fields. Now I have the option to save the file. So now I'm going to click Save. And then once it saves, we're going to take it from that new student screen to probably a screen that looks a little more familiar to you now. This is simply just our edit student screen, just like we would go to modify the student record. So it takes all that information, puts it into this form, and it's ready to go. So that is our new student screen. Again, you still have the option if we wanted to create a new student the old way. I can click on New Student here, and it will open up the original version. So that's not going to go away just yet. The purpose for having both systems up is that the new student screen can kind of be a bottleneck. So what we want to do is make sure that we have every possible bug worked out of this system before we make it the only option available to you, the only standalone system. So until we've let people use it for a little bit of time, and we've had time to plenty of time to go over and make sure it's working, we'll have both of these options available. And then once we're certain that everything's working good, we'll probably just remove the old way, and the new way will become our permanent method. So that's the new student screen. I hope you enjoy it. If you find anything that you could suggest to improve it, we would love to know. Just let us know at the help desk. And thank you very much.